Hello. All right. So on the very first day of my recovery, my very first day of sobriety, I went to church and I was introduced to two fellows who didn't know me. I never said a word to them besides, "Hey, how's it going?" And Jim says, "You should come to Celebrate Recovery." And for some reason, I came. So for that, I'm thankful for Jim and Pete. I also had a chance to, I was kind of homeless at a point in time, and Jim took me in. So I got to live with him for almost a year. Got engaged in Jim's living room while he was out of town. I've had some, Jim and I, we've had a friendship that's lasted 12, 14, probably 14 years. I've been sober for 14 years. So, and for Jim, I'm very thankful. And so I'm always excited to hear him share his story and see where he's going to go tonight. So Jim, come on up.
All right, I'm dealing with some back issues, so I'm going to steal the stool over here. I'm short. I need the short one. Well, I thought this was going to be a lot easier. There's a lot of stuff on here. I'm good. I got her. Just a bunch of little flippy things here, and I made a mess. That's all right. I'm good. I got her. All right. Perfect. You know, this is weird. I'm more nervous than I was when I just gave my testimony a couple of weeks ago at the CR in Hibbing. I don't know why, but kind of like what Jay said. I met Jay, and Jay was introduced to me and Pete on one of his very first nights and everything. And it's like, and I think we've laughed about this before, that it was just the first two people that Jay meets are two guys that abuse the heck out of him. No, and I mean that in a good way, because if you know our friend Pete, he's going to put you to work. And in short fashion, I mean, we did many hours of work in Pete's garage and a few other projects. And you know what? I tell you what, though, Jay was an awesome roommate. And I have to tell you why, because you know what? I never had to do dishes. Jay liked to do my dishes. I don't know why, but he liked to do the dishes. And he shoveled a lot. So I was like, cool, two things I hate doing, shoveling and doing the dishes. Although today I can honestly say I hate dishes sitting around, so maybe it's a good thing that Jay did my dishes all the time, because I never had to see dishes sitting, and now I can't stand to see them sitting around, so I put them away. But, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit about my past, and then I'm going to share a lot of my victories with you. How much time do I got? Until what, 7? Okay, all right, I'll keep an eye on the time, because I have a tendency to talk a lot. Right, Trish? That's right, Dan. Okay. And I've known Dan and Josh for years, too. I've actually met them when they were little kids, and, so it's kind of weird how sometimes things come around and come back to you and stuff, because they used to hang around with my girlfriend's son, Jeff, who's no longer with us. About a year and a half or so ago, Jeff unfortunately succumbed to the same addictions that I have, and died of an overdose. And growing up, I was born in Superior, Wisconsin. Yes, I'm a Packers fan. You see my jacket over there. I'm proud Packers fan. And I grew up in a middle-class family, very religious. My mom and dad were very active in the Catholic Church. I did the whole First Communion. I was a Mass server. I did my, First Confession. I was confirmed at the Catholic Church and everything. And although when I got older and started using, I pretty much went to all my Catholic religion classes high. I started drinking when I was probably 10, 12 years old. The first time, it was just, sipping mom and dad's beer or drink or steal a beer once in a while, because my folks had, they weren't real big drinkers. But every once in a while, what company would come over, relatives, they'd have a few cocktails. I think I've seen my mom tipsy half a dozen times, and I think I've seen my dad tipsy once. Like I said, they weren't big drinkers, but I started using alcohol at a young age. I was sexually abused at a very young age. I went on for many years, and I'll talk about more of that. But I went through a lot of struggles. I was born with a cleft palate growing up, so I got called hair lip and split lip, and where they came up with cigarette butt, I don't know. But they used to call me cigarette butt, and I don't know. So I got teased a lot as a kid, and it was either, God bless my mom, that she said, you can either cry about it and let it really bother you, or you can do something about it. Well, I decided to fight. I thought, I'm not going to take it anymore. If you're going to hurt me with your words, I'm going to hurt you with my fists. And, it's what I needed, I wasn't going to just let the people know that I'm not going to take their stuff. But it got worse, ended up hurting a few people. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know why I'm so darn nervous. You know what? I'm gonna pray real quick. All right, I feel better. So, like I said, growing up, I had great parents. Good Christmases. It's not like we were rich or anything, but my folks always, did stuff with us kids. I can remember when my parents were younger and stuff, that we would play, and it wasn't just us kids. The neighborhood kids. We'd get into these baseball games and football games and tag and ball tag and flashlight tag and kick the can. My folks would join all of us kids, and we had fun, And then I lived in Superior until I was about 12 when we moved to St. Cloud, and for me it was always felt like I was the new guy, because I did kindergarten, and I had my second surgery when I was 5 years old on plastic surgery. And so when I went to get interviewed to go into kindergarten from Head Start, to go into first grade, they wouldn't allow me to go into first grade because I had just gotten done having surgery. I had surgery down in the cities. My mom couldn't stay down there all the time, but a family friend was staying with us, and the lady that was interviewing me said, well, he's not ready for first grade because he wants his mom. And my mom's like, he just spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and I wasn't there but only a few days, It's like, of course he misses his mom, And so I ended up spending 2 years there, and then I went to a Catholic school for 2 years, and then my folks couldn't afford to put all of us through Catholic school, so then me and my sister went to a public school, and then back to another, and then my grandfather helped out, and then I went to another different Catholic school for 4th and 5th grade, and then we moved to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I was in a new school again, public school, and then I was only there for a year, and then went to junior high, and a year and a half in junior high, because we only lived in St. Cloud for about 2.5 years, and then moved up here on the range. I was just like, oh God, another new school, So it seems like, I don't know, if being the new kid can be tough sometimes, because everybody wants to seem to want to test you and see if, and it's like, I can remember in 8th grade when I first moved up here and stuff, I'm in my first class, and after class, this one girl comes up and, hey, do you smoke? And I'm like, no, I don't smoke. You're a jock or something? And I'm like, well, no, I'm just me. I don't, And, but it wasn't too long after that, because I had I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and like I said, I had already been drinking. And wasn't too long after that another family member and a neighbor convinced me to smoke marijuana. And you know, I always say, you know, addicts are good people that with a bad disease, you know, and that's what addiction is. You know, drug and alcohol addiction is a disease. And it's not like I, growing up, or you know, everything, I had dreams of being, hey, I'm going to grow up and be a drug addict, you know. I wanted to play professional sports, you know, because I liked baseball and football, and it just wasn't in the cards for me. I mean, I came up here and it was very different. I really struggled when I did move up to Hibbing back in the 80s. For me in high school and stuff, it could be very cliquey, and if you didn't have the right name or the right amount of money, you weren't, you know, just in sports was very cliquey and stuff. And I wasn't a hockey player, don't have the ankles for it. So was on the diving team for about 3 years. In 10th grade, I quit. Just couldn't get along with the coach, the swimming coach, the diving coach. I had a good relationship with. But my disease kept on progressing, and then I was halfway through my senior year. I was going to be a half a credit short for graduating, and I thought, they told me, so, well, you can graduate, but you have to go the following year for half a day. I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. But because I got held back, technically I was supposed to graduate in 81, and I was 18 at the time, I could take my GED, and I took my GED, and I thought, I'm getting the heck out of Hibbing, Minnesota, and in my infinite wisdom, I decided to join the Marine Corps. You know, and you know, things went pretty good for a while there, and then I you know, went through basic training, did pretty good, went to my specialty training pretty good, and then I was like, I want to go overseas, and I ended up in Okinawa, Japan. And I don't know about, you know, foreign countries and stuff, but like over there, alcohol, you know, I mean, being, you know, I could buy alcohol in the enlisted club. I mean, you didn't have to be 21, you know, because when I was in California, you had to be 21 if you were going to get alcohol. I mean, you could buy beer and drink it on base, but, and I did. And then, but over there, I mean, I could get alcohol, I could go out in town, and there was opium-based liquor, and you could go into a drugstore over there, and there's a lot of stuff you could get over the counter, which is, you know, barbiturates and you know, and some other drugs that you can just buy over the counter over there, and you know, and I did that, and I really struggled, and some of you that know me really good, this thing's really big sometimes, and it can get me in trouble, and it caused me to get into trouble in the military, and I ended up getting kicked out after 2 years, 5 months, and 28 days. And I spent most of my time overseas. I've been to Okinawa, been to mainland Japan, been to the Philippines, been to Korea. I mean, I love being in the military. If I could just learn to keep my mouth shut, I probably would have done pretty good, because I was very good at what I did. I used to drive amphibious assault vehicles, and I was a water safety survival instructor. And I really liked it. And then when I got out, I ended up moving back to St. Cloud, because in 1984 all the mines were shut down, and you know, when I went to St. Cloud, my addiction really took off, because some of the guys I knew when I lived in St. Cloud before, I got to be friends with, and they were all using drugs, and I just took off, and I ended up meeting a lady down in St. Cloud, and I had a child with her. I have a 35-year-old son who also suffers from the same disease I have. I believe that he got it from me and his mother. Right now he is sitting in Stillwater State Prison on his 12th or 14th felony for either drugs or abuse or several other charges that he's had, selling meth and and everything else. And he'll be out in August, and hopefully he'll change his ways this time. I'm hoping. I keep on praying for him. But kind of back to me, I after the service and getting involved with drugs and everything, and then I moved, and then in 2001 I moved back up here, figuring if I just move away from St. Cloud, I can, I won't do so many drugs, I won't get into trouble and stuff, and well, my addiction, of course, came with me. I continue to use, I've always been a functioning addict. I was always able to hold a job. I lost a lot of jobs because of my addiction and drinking, but I was able to find another job and stuff. And then eventually I got into trouble. I did something really bad, and my probation officer told me that you're not going to drink or do drugs anymore, And at that point too, when I really messed up the last time, I thought to myself, you know what, I'm done. Can't do this anymore. I'm tired of hurting people. I'm tired of, living like I'm living. I just can't do this anymore. But it was tough, it was tough. I always tell everybody the first 7 months that I wasn't using drugs and alcohol anymore, I wasn't recovering, I was just abstinent. And I remember going to my probation officer and saying, you know what, I can't do this, I'm gonna go, my girlfriend left me, my life is crap, I'm not happy, I'm gonna go out and get high, I'm gonna go out and drink or do something. And he goes, you do, I'll send you to prison. That's your options, stay clean or go to prison. And I had told him months before when I was living in St. Cloud, one of the times I was sitting in jail, I got introduced to Narcotics Anonymous, and I did actually stay clean for about 9 months. And so he said, well, you want to try narcotics? Maybe we should. And he helped me find a meeting. I remember going to my first meeting, and I walk in there, and like 3 or 4 people had relapsed that week, and there was a female there that was obviously high, and she dropped her purse and out-rolled a bag of weed and a pipe, and I'm thinking, man, I came here for help. These people are more screwed up than I am, in my arrogance. But there's a gentleman there that came up to me after the meeting. He says, well, you kind of picked a bad first meeting to come to, and I said, you think? And under my breath, of course, I didn't say it out loud. But what he said next just kind of rang in my head. He said, this is a really good group, keep coming back. Every week I kept coming back, and I kept on getting more every time I went, And then I met a good friend of mine, we're really good friends yet today, Joey, and actually when I first met Joey, I couldn't stand him. I thought he was arrogant and bullheaded and stubborn. Oh, wait a minute, you spot it, you got it, And we almost got into a fist fight at a meeting one night, and it just ate me up all week, and my sponsor's like, you got to apologize. I'm thinking, I don't have to apologize for nothing. He was the one that was being, And I thought about it more, and come Thursday night, and I come to the meeting, and I'm like, hey, Joe, can I talk to you for a minute? He goes, yeah, I need to talk to you too. And we apologized to each other. And then found out later he likes to ride dirt bike. I had a 4-wheeler, so we'd go riding together. And I remember one Sunday, I told him, I said, hey, because I was going to church with my mom and dad at the Catholic church. Well, they had moved to St. Cloud. My sister had convinced him to move down to St. Cloud, and where she was living, because my mom had a lot of medical issues, and there's just better stuff down there for her. And I said, hey, Joe, you want to go to church with me? And he goes, well, where do you want to go to church? He said, I said, well, I go to the Catholic church. And he's like, no, I don't want to. I don't go to no Catholic church, he says, I go to Open Door, he says, how about we go to Open Door? And I'm like, well, what's Open Door? He said, well, it's a non-denominational church. So I'm thinking, well, okay, I'll check it out. What the heck, as long as I'm, getting fed, doesn't matter where you go, right? And, the first thing that got me when I got there was the music. Phenomenal worship team, Then this gentleman got up and preached. He just blew me away, So then the following week, I was like, hey, Joe, let's go back there again. I kind of liked it, and liked the music. And I'm thinking here, and I'm looking at this pastor, and I'm like, man, this guy looks familiar. And I asked Joey, I said, what's this guy's name? I said, he looks familiar for some reason. He said, well, his name's Tim Rice. I think he graduated the same year you did. So I'm thinking, Tim Rice, why does that name sound familiar? So first thing I do after church, run home, find my yearbook, open up my yearbook, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Well, I did go to high school with Tim, and I partied with Tim. And I'm thinking, wow. So the following Sunday, I go back and I introduce myself to him. He goes, well, I kind of thought that was you, Jim. And we're talking and stuff. And I'm like, but in high school. And he's like, and he changed the subject. I'm like, wait a minute, in high school? And he goes, well, Jim, right after high school, he says, I found the Lord. And he says, I decided to become a pastor. And, he said, I just haven't looked back. He said, it changed my life. So we started becoming friends. And I started talking to him more. And our big thing was, it's like, hey, Tim, you got a minute? Because it was never a minute. It was always a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And, he really helped me with my walk with God. And then, through Narcotics Anonymous, getting to know a lot of other people, I met another Christian, my good friend Dean Carlson, who's also a DJ and who also taught me how to DJ. I own my own DJ business today. And I'm going down to visit Dean and stuff, and at his church, they're starting a thing called Celebrate Recovery. Go figure, right? So now on Tuesday nights, I'm going down to Duluth to celebrate recovery. Well, actually, your retreat was started by Dean Carlson. And so I remember I had been doing CR for about 6-8 months, and Pastor Tim comes up to me and he goes, Jim, we're thinking about starting this new program. I go, really? He goes, I think you'd be really, you could really help out this program we're going to start. I said, well, really? Okay, you got me interested. What's it called? He goes, it's called Celebrate Recovery. I said, I've been doing a Celebrate Recovery in Duluth for about 6 months now, and Dean came up and helped. Of course, Dean Weiland was the leader then. And so I got involved with CR, and I was a leader for many years. And then, things happen, things change, and I started, but I continued to stay clean, continued with my walk with God, and, my therapist and my probation officer and my sponsor, they're all saying, with my child abuse, he says, you have to forgive that person. And I'm like, let me know when hell freezes over and I'll forgive that person. And, I remember I used to travel. I travel around a lot I got involved. I'm really involved with Narcotics Anonymous. I'm actually on the fellowship service team for the region, for the whole state of Minnesota. I've been doing that for a while now, and I've been involved with the state convention and, at the area level, group level. I'm our area's treasurer and everything. So I stay involved, and I stay involved with my church, with Open Door and everything. I love it there. I do a lot of work there. It's one way that I can give back. One of my spiritual gifts is I'm a very good handyman, carpentry and drywall and everything. So I do a lot of work there. But I remember one Sunday, there's a meeting in Superior I really like to go to. It's called the Romp and Stomp, and they beat on the tables and stomp their feet in between the people sharing and everything. That's kind of why they call it the Romp and Stomp. And I'd gone down there early, and I'd called like 5 or 6 people, and nobody's answering their phone. And I'm sitting in my truck in the parking lot and hear this voice. Today's the day, Jim. You're going to go forgive your uncle. I'm like, nope. Hell has not frozen over yet. I am not going to do this. But it just kept on eating at me. Finally, I had to call my mom, find out where he was buried at. I knew where the cemetery was. I just didn't know where it was. And I remember driving there, and I'm getting upset, and I'm crying, and I'm standing over his grave, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this, God. And I looked up to God, and I said, God, help me to forgive this person. And I looked down, and I said, I forgive you. And it was such a freeing moment, because I look at it I think about it this day. It's like, how can I expect God to forgive me if I'm not willing to forgive others? Recently, a couple weeks ago, I'm struggling. I've struggled with a lot of things in my faith, and with being patient with people, and of course my mouth always seems to get me in trouble. Open mouth, insert foot, a lot. And Recently, we went down to a regional thing down in the cities, and I get into a pretty bad argument with our regional chair person. Another guy who's strong-willed, stubborn, pig-headed. Yep, you spot it, you got it, And I get into an argument with him, and one of the ladies there, who I love her to death, her name is Robin, and she's got like 36 or 7 years clean, and she just chewed us both out, pointing out our character defects and, why. I mean, not only did I get yelled at, he got yelled at, and then I ended up apologizing. And so the rest of the weekend goes pretty good, and then Jim's driving home, and Jim struggles with road rage. And I hate driving down the cities. And I'm like, I'm trying to get out of the cities and get just about to Duluth, because this gentleman that's riding with me, he's from Two Harbors, and we met at our mutual friend Robin's. That's where a bunch of us met, and some of us, we carpooled down there, and I get a guy in front of me in the left-hand lane. He doesn't want to move over. So I get a little close to him, and he hits his brakes. So I get up close again. He does the same thing again. I'm like, okay. Thinking to myself, you're a hole. And so then I decide I'm going to go. I see a spot where I can get around, speed up, get around him, get in front of him, go, be good to go. He speeds up. And the lady that was sitting in the passenger seat, she's all like yelling at me, but smiling. I don't know if she was laughing or whatever, but giving me some finger gestures. And I'm thinking, so now I'm really mad, and I'm trying to get around him. I'm swimming. Not realizing that the guy that's sitting next to me, I'm scaring the crap out of him. But he doesn't say nothing. So I drop him off at Robin's. I did eventually get around him and kind of calmed down a little bit after that. And that was on Sunday. And on Tuesday, I get a phone call. It's Robin. And I'm like, what's up, Robin? Well, we have something to talk about. I don't know if you realize this, but you scared the heck out of somebody on Sunday with your driving. I still have to call him and apologize to him. I haven't done that yet, but I'm like, and then in the next couple of weeks, I'm short with people. I'm really frustrated with people in front of me. I'm like, it must be just stress. I must be dealing with stress, and I can't figure it out. But it's really starting to bother me. And I we'll go talk to Pastor Brent, and he's like, sounds like you're having some pride issues. I'm like, what? No, I'm just frustrated. I'm not where I want to be on my flip house, my house. And I'm not, because I hurt my back and I can't do as much as I would like to. And he starts explaining some things to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm a very prideful person. This is wrong. And it's like, and now that I've talked to him and stuff, and and kind of the point, I'm realizing it more, and I'm recognizing it when I'm starting to get road rage and everything. I'm like, okay, stop it. Can't act like that. Quit being a proud idiot. Put your pride away. Be humble. And it's over the years everything that I've gone through in the years that I've been clean and in my walk with God has always been a learning experience. I feel like it's like we're in forever kindergarten. We're never going to graduate. We don't get to graduate, whether it's in my recovery or in my walk with God. I mean, we're child of God. And kind of like this first couple of songs we played by We the Kingdom. Oh, I love that group. Get a chance, listen to some of their music. Awesome stuff. Holy Water still gives me. We do it at the work. The worship team does it, and every time I hear that song, I still get chills and still make you tear up. And I'm going to work at progress, and I know that I'm not perfect, and because there was only one perfect person, and his name was Jesus, and I strive to be a better person. I know I'll never be perfect, and I'm always going to be a sinner, but at least today I can recognize my character defects and I can keep on improving on myself. And that's what we do, some of the sayings we have in Narcotics Anonymous and some of the things that my biggest wow moments in my life, besides being able to forgive my uncle. And since I've done that, there's other people that have hurt me in my past that I've been able to forgive, and also people that I've run into that I've hurt in my past. I've been able to say, hey, I'm sorry, this is what I'm doing now, and I've had some amends go really good, and I have some amends not go so good. I remember the first time I had my amends that didn't go so good, and I apologized to this guy, and he goes, you're a piece of crap. You'll always be a piece of crap, and just get away from me. I go crying to my sponsor, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't apologize to somebody he didn't accept it. He's like, did you do it for him or you? I'm like, well, I did it for me. He says, then quit crying about it. You did what you needed to do. We can't, the outcome isn't always what we're going to want. Hopefully it all goes good and we get forgiven or whatever, but, you did it for you. You did what you needed to do. You did your part. Whether they want to accept it or not, that's not up to you. So a lot of things that I've gone through in my life that I've been able to change in my life, and, my recovery has been an awesome thing, and I have an app on my phone. It's a recovery app. It's NA, but as of today, I have 21 years, 1 month, and 1 day. Clean, sober. And just, Jake, 30 days, where's Jake at? Awesome. 30 days is awesome. Not bragging, but if you put 1 day and another day and another day, I have 7,702 days just for today, because just for today, all I have to do is for today. Sometimes, when we're struggling with things, maybe it's just, can I make it the next 15 minutes? Can I make it the next hour? And then pretty soon you got 12 hours and a day and 2 days and 3 days, and that's what I've been, always strive towards. It's like, if we can just make it that little bit more, and do that one next right thing, that next, thing, that next right thing. That's what I strive for, is doing that next right thing, and I love to help other people, because I can only keep what I have by giving it away. It's something we say in the NA program, and some of my biggest wow moments was when people told me stuff, and I'm like, wow, so simple but right. If I keep on doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep on getting what I'm getting. So if I keep on doing that stupid stuff, bad things are still going to happen to me. Another one I really love that really blew my mind when my first sponsor told me, he goes, Jim, if nothing changes, nothing changes. It was like, what a concept, All I gotta do is change. My life will change. It's 6 o'clock, so I guess I'm done, or 7. But thank you guys. I hope what I said resonates or touches you somehow, and if you'd like to talk later or something, I'd be more than happy to listen, but thank you guys very much. God bless.